Hello, dear friends. This is George Lees making what I think he will be naming as the video that keeps George Lees alive video. Yeah, keep your fingers crossed and say a little prayer. There are all the biblical fraudsters that I'm going to reveal. Yeah, those are the people that you've seen in the earlier videos. I'm now going to complete the interviews I made with Sean McGuire, yeah, which reveal the royal murders by the Windsor regime, that is Edward VII of Marcos Manuel in the stories that were told by Greg Hallett, and I've now got all the evidence that they have now launched a whole series of false criminal issues, so that all of that gets covered up, not only by John Cleese in the team, that is Basil Fawlty, yeah, the cover for the banking crimes of the Committee of 300 and the Committee of 30, all of whom now God are making account for themselves with their lives, many of them in off-piste accidents. Okay, so let's keep our fingers crossed. That is Shania Twain and the Boniface families that are the launch of False Christmas out of Devon, and that is heaven in the Bible story, and Jesus is the dragon that is the baby boy, and that is St. Peter pictured at the bottom right of the thing, that is the alter ego pseudonym or pen name for Arius Calpurnius Piso, and the baby Jesus is El Nino, and you've known that from my output for years and years and years. Shania is the wife of an Egyptian god called Mut, an Egyptian king called Mut, and that becomes the gods when the Egyptians pass on in their pyramids, yet with their mummies being the parent of what becomes the god or the goddess, depending on the gender. Yeah, and incredibly, all of those billionaires depicted there are now they are Oprah Winfrey. She is the name of the St. Boniface in Frankfurt, who felled Thor's oak, was Winfried. Yeah, that he came from Exeter, and that is the launch of Xmas in Devon, which is heaven in the story. Right, so I'm going to play the soundtrack from the video that I made with Sean McGuire, and you'll see why I'm making this the video that keeps George Lees alive. If the police do not storm into this house in the making of it, you know, understand now the naming of the police entirely from the stories I've told. So the last video with Sean McGuire ended up at this point, and I'm now going to play it, and hopefully it will play, and there will not be too much hum for you to cope with.
Married Emperor Domitian, Emperor Trajan, and there's a Marcella marrying Pompeia Plotini, aka Claudia Phoebe, and that on the Piso bloodline is Claudia, and Phoebe is the relative of Ramsay Nisbet, and they visit him in the Christmas special.
That's where we left off the last time, with a few mentions of the Roman wall and the place where the tyrant that was Edward de Longshanks died was in my favourite godly person's thrall, and that is the end of the Sol wafer. That's the sun god Sol Natalus Invictus that has been completely replaced by Jesus.
It's just absolutely amazing. St. Aniculus Cletus, Alexander C. Piso, eldest son of Arius, married Calpurnia of the 3D branch of the Calpurnius Piso family. That becomes the Frugi family that ran the mints in Rome in 120 BC and the coins were called, I told you already, can you remember?
What, the peseta?
No, they were called asses.
Oh, yes.
Jesus, in the fucking Bible. Yeah, it's Delaney's donkey in the songs from Ireland that are Val Unican. Did I tell you already that he's just a cover for Val Duncan on the committee of 1001?
That's incredible.
Boss at Rio Tinto. Yeah, all of it is just a piss take, and everybody that is the know-nothing just takes the bun to protect the corrupted system right through world history. And the know-nothings were a political party called the Whigs before they became the Notting Hill set, and that is the Notting Hill place where the Twin Towers were burned. Yeah, where the towers were burned. That is the Morgan Grenfell banking group for the Bismarck family of Germany.
So
yeah,
the Whigs became the Liberals, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. And the Tories were always the Tories, I think, and they are the Conservatives, which is the Connies and the Rabbits in the story. Yeah, that's Rupert. That's Churchill's rabbit sign. There's St Clement, Arius Copernicus Piso, and Sir Piso, the first Pope. Yeah, 37 AD, CE to 118, married several wives. Julius's mother was Flavia Julia Titi Sabina, Emperor Titus's sister. Yeah, that's the tits jokes in everything that Monty Pythons laugh at as they launch the hand grenade of Antioch. Yeah, and it's completely stunning. Julius Copernicus Piso married Domitia Pauline II, and that is the Pauline missions. Yeah, and she's the sister of Emperor Hadrian that built the Roman wall between Newcastle and the Sol Waiter, from a great hero that is the sun god Sol. Yeah, and that is where Longshanks died, on something on sands. Yeah, and the whole of religion is built on sand.
Certainly is.
And that is the builder of the Hadrian Wall, which is why all of the old Wiedersehen team are laughing at it. All of it is about religion. He was a man with the word Piso in his name. Nepos was his name, and he was a brick manufacturer in Germany. That's why the Wiedersehen team went there. My batteries have just run out.
Okay. You're doing well, George. You're doing well.
So can we stop there?
We can if you want, but 1 hour 20 minutes we're on at the moment.
So does that make it difficult for you to? What caught your ear in our earlier discussion?
Well, I mean, obviously the Chris Martin thing, and there was also something that wasn't touched tonight that I was hoping that we would, and that's the murder jar.
Oh yeah, I was quite stunned that Marcos Manuel was murdered by Edward VII. He gave the orders. I don't know who did the murder, but that happened in a place called Sintra Abbey in Portugal, and it's built to the money jar design. And at that time, that's Marcos Manuel. And what he did was have you heard of Carlos the Jackal?
Yes, I have indeed.
So that is just the obfuscation for the royal murders by the Windsor family of the legitimate son of Queen Victoria, the only one of the 11 that she had. Yeah, all the rest were Rothschild bastards, and the last one, number 11, was John Brown's illegitimate baby, and that's Billy Connolly in the movie. And Prince Harry has recently visited Scotland with Meghan. Yeah, I think I told you about her. She's descended from King John the Baddie in the Robin Hood film.
Yes, you did say that.
So when Prince Harry came to Scotland with her, he got bit by a donkey.
Did he really?
Yeah, God is immensely powerful and has a massive sense of humour.
Actually got bitten by a donkey, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was amazing, yeah. And when I tried to publish that, the newspaper headlines, they wouldn't let me see it. Yeah,
So it didn't go into the mainstream media, right?
Yeah, it was in one of the papers, and I have the picture of it, and it's still on the listing on this computer.
Okay.
But when you try and open it on this computer, because they know the menace I am to them now, it will not open. It just says, you know, oops, try again. You just get that obfuscation tool that is their pistic.
So when he was in Scotland with Taylor, he actually got bit by a donkey.
Yeah. And he was so brazen, he's become a Facebook friend, like Prince William has been for years. You know, they've got hyperlinks, and it's quite easy to embarrass the sad bastards. He's had more women in his life as an adult since he started to shave than anybody else on this earth, and all of them are just obfuscation tools. So he was dating Pickford. He was dating a woman called Crystal Dick as head of the Met Police. He's now dating Merkel for the second time, because Merkel in Germany, she is the son of Hitler, the daughter of Hitler by artificial insemination, and on it goes. And the whole lot of them are totally, yet they are all descended from the same families, and that is the best exemplification of that is the Percy family. So the Percys own Alnwick Castle. It was owned by the Vases before then, and that is vase of ancient gold. And they built it, and they were in it before the Percys moved in. And Percy is Perseus the poet, but in the Clash of the Titans, he plays Perseus the god, which is why Pete Postlethwaite died in making that movie. Nice. And he's Postlethwaite is in The Usual Suspects movie as the agent for the man that is Kaiser Soze, but that is the equivalent of Piso in that story. And when they all die on the ship, yeah, it's the same as the Long John Silver story, because Kevin Spacey, who's directly descended from Virgil's Piso, he plays Virgil Kint in that movie, and he's a cripple, yeah, and he pretends that he knows nothing about anything, and he ends up with a stash of money, and Postlethwaite, and both of them jump into the Jaguar, which is the Panthera jokes, and that is all the ISIS myths are a part of the Islamic story too. So the massive black stone in Mecca, have you seen it?
I have seen the film. It was a while ago.
No, but have you seen the black stone in Mecca where all the Islamic people have to go and worship there at one point in their lifetimes?
Well, I've only seen it on the internet, but yes.
So it is the Piso vagina too. Yeah, just locked to the side of the building. And that for, I used to love the Irish comedian that was Dave Allen. Yeah, and when he talks about the priest comes to his door for some bizarre reason, or no, he knocks on the priest's door, and it's a big, you must and all your friends look up Dave Allen's Into the Hole He Goes video.
Okay.
It's absolutely hilarious, and when he gets on to talking about the nuns, he says that she's flapping, and that is not her garments, it's her vaginal.
But then, I mean, if you look at religion altogether, I mean, if you have a mirror image, isn't it, as above, so below, you know, they like to play games, and then the archway going into every church is a vagina. You know? Yeah,
it's just amazing. And I've been to Notre Dame, and I've been to the massive churches on the French-Swiss border, and they're all, you know, the massive round windows are, it's all different ports of entry, and the canoes that they carry in the elite rowing teams are the vagina too. It's just amazing.
All this sexual stuff is just crazy, isn't it?
Well, no, it's just the smutty history of the world. So have I explained to you the loaves and fishes story?
Go on. Explain it.
When the Romans laid siege to a castle and the people were starving inside it, the people inside had to try and come out and look for food for their families, so that they would get topped by the army that was waiting outside. Their penis was cut off, basted with shit into a loaf of bread, and then sent by ballista over the castle walls to show those people that their husbands had already died trying to feed them. And that is the hot dog joke for America still. Yeah, and that is the penis in the sandwich, and that is the loaves and fishes joke for Jesus, because the penis is the fish in the Bible, and that's why you get your, as a Catholic altar boy, you got not to eat meat on a Friday as a strict rule. You got your fish on a Friday, and that is having sex with your wife when you come home with your pay packet every Friday night.
Incredible.
Yeah, and still in Witherspoons today, if you have a fish meal on a Friday, you get a free drink.
Is that right?
Yes. But you did not understand that already.
I didn't know that was it. I knew that we ate fish on a Friday, and that was it.
And if you watch the Right Stuff movie about picking the space team that got to the moon, in inverted commas, yeah, the whole of that is just a massive piss take. Yeah, we never ever got to the moon, which is why they've launched that open-top car into orbit. Yeah, and it's going to end up on Mars or something, and they want you to give your funds for that. Yeah, so that they can raise shareholdings and things. It's just amazing how gullible the public are. But we never got to the moon. But when the aspirant people that were in the moon programme, all of them were being trained. They had to give semen samples, they had to have tubes stuck up their arse, they used to have to train at ultra low pressures to hop around like the bunnies that are the Lagos the Rabbit icon. Yeah, and that is the whole lot of them. Every time they were congratulating somebody, they would say hot dog and give them a high five, and that is the loaves and fishes joke too, right through Roman history, and right into the Star Wars teams that are the Hollywood team. You ever drink a Jaeger bomb in the pub?
I haven't.
But you've seen people doing it, and the little bunny girls serving them.
Yes.
So that is Chuck Yeager is the most competent airman in America, and that is the Ja joke, and he is Von Jaeger of Austria, and he's the man that is the pilot that breaks the speed record every time he gets in a new plane. He's the only one that got the courage to fly it, and that is the Von Jaegers of Austrian Nobility.
It's incredible. I had who was it, Jay Widener on my show about 4 years ago it was, and he said that he was talking to his wife.
There were all sorts of flaws in the footage of it, and when you see them coming hopping.
No, I mean he filmed it in a Hollywood studio, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, well, so that's it. I totally believe that. But the moonshot concept is just a joke. And now, when you realise that they dare not make movies about heretical issues about the gods, otherwise they will drop down dead like Heath Ledger did. That is the launch of the Toy Story movies, and now the Toy Story villainous child is in Jennifer Aniston's. You must watch the trailers for the Miller movies featuring Jennifer Aniston and the conversations about their vaginal health and all of the cocks and all the wife swapping stories. All of it is that piezo filth that we just covered, and the name of the movie featuring Lloyd Pack's daughter, it's based in Brighton, and it's just awesome. And all of it is that if you want to understand the American Pie joke and the linkage to the secret societies and the universities in America, watch the Britney Spears Amy movie, and then watch the Shake It Off video for Taylor Swift. And it's quite stunning with the Swifts those giant models that portray the old five long as the English jokes. Yeah, that was the massive beanstalk story, and at the end of the story, the giants of the gentle gods and creator landslides, heart attacks, etc. They are actually portrayed in the later movies about Gulliver as cannibals. Yeah, they will eat the human beings if you go up the beanstalking. Yeah, and all of it's totally evil. The best one, the one that gives you heartwarming hope, ironically features Richard Harris as Gulliver, and that explains to you in the circus shows that he attends, or that the humans are hosting, that all you need to be a politician is to entertain. Yeah. And that's why Al Pacino is the perfect example of that, from the papal bloodlines, playing the devil, yeah, as descendant of the Pope.
It is incredible. I don't watch enough movies, George. That's my problem. I don't sit down.
Well, I'm a doctor of philosophy and all that bullshit, but I now use Hollywood's output just for confirmation that all of it is a massive piss take. So when you look at those yellow van videos, the van is Rothschild yellow, and Del Boy's van was a three-wheeler, and that's the pyramids of Egypt. Yeah, and Del Boy, the oldest book club in the world, is run by the Duke of Roxburgh, and I've got the listing of all of the members. Most of them are fascists. Hannah Mary Rothschild has just joined it because she's desperately keen to get rid of me as a parasite. For, you know, she's the most innocent member of the Rothschild family in the whole of its history, and I've actually met her once and shook her hand. But it's all just a massive syndicate. The ones in America are totally evil, and they are the ones so that's Lynn Forrester de Rothschild, married to Evelyn de Rothschild, and he's a man with the name Evelyn, and he's the Queen's advisor on financial affairs. None of the bastards are on the Forbes rich listings.
Right.
Yeah. And Bill Gates has climbed off it, because I've now revealed that he got his cheap labour as a car manufacturer in the old days in the death camps in Treblinka. Yeah, he was Gottsheim then, and all of them have had to come down, including the popes. Yeah, so Pope Benedict ran the Interreligious Studies Committee. Everybody that was on that, including George Bush's children, got £10,000 per visit to the Vatican to rewrite the Bible story and to alleviate any mistakes that the Pisos had left behind. They were also working on rewriting the Quran and the Talmud.
Wow.
It's just massive, and that's why Pope Benedict resigned, and all the ruckus about his butler and stuff, it was all reported by me. So that is, I think it was Jedediah Bush or one of the ones, and they've got those bizarre names because they are part of that Genesis in the Bible, diaspora to the promised land, and everywhere we go they have become explorers. Yeah, that is what killing the indigenous natives, and that is the biggest tragedy in world history, and that's why I've become a pagan, and I'm really proud of it. It takes a lot of courage to stand up to the Christianity. They're just mass serial killers, and the Charlemagne story is tragic because he lives in a place called Casino, which is why George Clooney had to make those, what was it? The movies were not made with casino in the title. It was Ocean's something.
Yeah, Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 10 and Ocean's...
Yeah, so I think there were 10 or 11 movies made, and that is just covering the fact that Charlemagne's place of residence in Frankish France is casino. And you get the Cluny Abbey joke for Cluny?
No, go on.
So the oldest church in the world and the first Vatican was in Clermont Ferrand in southern France, and the gods, because they're millions of years older than all of us, they have placed a volcanic caldera in that place. And that is, it's Clermont Ferrand, and the name of the church is the Cluny Abbey, and the Cluniac movement moved all over Europe, and that is also, I think Boniface was Cluniac, but there are Cluniac everywhere where you have a flooded river valley. It's likely that there was a religious movement there that they are so ashamed of that they've had to build a dam.
Alpha to Omega on the Christmas, on the Easter Paschal candle.
Christianity, and I can't remember what the Spanish movement was, but Pope Francis is the first of that movement's lineage to become the Pope, and they were serial killers in all the Christian wars, and that is the 30 Years' War. The biggest killers were the Swedish nation, and now they've become the pacifists and the Abba singers, and the irony of that is that Abba means Father God. Yeah, and
what about the Bolsheviks?
Oh, I don't understand that. That is the communists in Russia.
Yeah, well, there was the Jewish Bolsheviks.
All right, I'm not aware of that story. Tell me about it.
Well, only that I heard, read about it, that they were guilty of killing over 100 million people, so...
Well, one of the last bastions for paganism was a place called Kievan Rus on the Russian border with Ukraine.
Abba is Von Abba in the Austrian Nobility.
But that is the making of what are we going to do about Kevin, and they made 5 of those movies, and it's just amazing. But the whole of Russia has been stolen. The Gazprom project was run by Gerard Schroder, and the Timoshenko woman in Ukraine that was put in a straitjacket in an asylum to try and cover up the fact that Gazprom is a massive profiteering exercise out of Western Europe, that is taking all of Russia's oil wealth away, and there are 45 subsidiaries of that to the west of Amsterdam and into the British colonial holdings that Queenie has. So that's Gerard Schroder, and what they did to justify all those things. It's a massive pipeline project, but he's the one that brought in the Chernobyl nuclear plant, and Prince Philip is closing nuclear plants all over the world, so that if we get into World War III, all of the poor people will starve to death and be frozen to death because their energy will be unavailable. It's totally ruthless, and that's Prince Philip, Margaret, his daughter-in-law, and Prince Charles already was a parent to 2 bastard children at that time. It's totally ruthless.
And do you think that the Queen had anything to do with it, or was just Prince Philip?
So Gazprom is the chucking the woman that was the Ukrainian political presence called Yulia Timoshenko into the straitjacket, and can you guess why she is actually being created as a world leader?
No, go on.
Timoshenko is on the top 30 of the world's Forbes rich listers. Different one, completely different, and he's from, I can't remember which country he's from, but if you look up my video, look up George Lee's and Forbes rich list, you will find 2 videos on the top 100, and all of them I can now explain. Yeah, there's a one called Kaching in China.
Kaching, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and that is the launch of Shania Twain's songs. And Shania is a goddess. She plays the goddess Cybele, and that is really evil. In the lead up to the launch of Islam, Eblis is the Elvis joke, and the goddess Cybele is a hermaphrodite, like Mrs Simpson in the war story. Yeah, and that's the gods that they are absolutely abusing. And then they wonder why Donald has to pay for so many acts of God in his first 100 days in office. And they're still pretending that he's in his first 100 days, way over a year after he has entered into that White House. And that is the White House regime. The name of the movie star, Jack Sparrow, have you heard of him?
Well, Jack Sparrow was a character in played by Johnny Depp.
That's right. So the Jack Sparrow character is the cover for the Sparrows and the White House family that become the Hanks lineage, and it becomes George Washington and the first presidents.
That is interesting because it's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. All of it is just obfuscation for the real Sparrows in the bloodlines that became George Washington. And he originates...
That is Nancy Hanks.
That's where they've got a Washington region in Newcastle, and I've been there and I've made videos on the mansion that is the Washington Mansion, and they are descendants of a family that lived in a place called Tring. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of Tring, yeah.
Why is Tring famous?
I'm not sure, remind me.
So the Rothschilds live there, and that's where Baron Rothschild II has the wild asses, aka the coins from Italy, 120 BC. Yeah, that's the zebra towing their car in the war.
Wow.
Yeah, and the owner of the house in Tring, before Nell Gwyn's family took it over, that is Snowy Cameron's lineage. She's descended from Nell Gwyn, and she was the prostitute, the concubine for King Charles I. Yeah, and that is the Protestant one, the Catholic concubine. So everything is divide and conquer was a woman called Kersdale, and that is Guy Innes Kerr, a female landlord whose name is Insus, which is Jesus, is a description on the cross. Yeah, and it is just a massive mafia of the ancient families that have been in charge of the world for years. And I'm stronger than him by a country mile, and he's been suffering with cancers in his epiglottis, the speaking organs. Yeah, and on and on.
How do we get rid of these controlling evil?
Just by letting the truth out, it's more and more that the world is beginning to know it. And you now, I believe, because you've conversed with me, will totally understand Basil and terror and the fascists that have been out there. It's the same families again and again and again. So that it's Lionel Messi is the son of a Perez, and the Perezes that were Shimon, yeah, are in the Bush bloodline through Barbara Pierce. Yeah, and the woman that is Shakira is married to a Barcelona football player. His name is Piqué, which is the Formula One families. Her name as a maiden is Mubarak of Egypt and the pyramid myths. And when you die as a king in Egypt, you get wrapped in your mummy's clothes, which is the October Funny's joke for the Holy Roman German emperors that were the Swabians, and that is the Schwabs that are the bandages stored in the clothes for Jesus. There is no room at the end of the Seriously, it's true. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so the whole of the right, just like Hollywood, the whole of the FIFA or UEFA are just as corrupt, yes?
FIFA is just a cover for the federated tribes of the Ostrogoths from Germany that sacked Rome in 150 AD.
Right.
So that takes us into Elton John's bloodline. He is Elton Herules John, and the tribes that sacked Rome as the Goths and the Visigoths in 150 AD were the Herules Dietrich tribes, yeah, of Germania. That's Marlene Dietrich and all the women. That's Marlene is related, like Schindler, to President Eisenhower. They're all on the same bloodline. And I've got it all sussed. There's the left to there. And all it needs to happen now is that the gods either intervene or we just keep ranting away at Rupert Murdoch. It's massive what he's doing.
It's not just Murdoch, is it though? Is it? There's about 5 of them globally, is it?
Oh yeah, all of them, all the presidential bloodlines, they're all descended from Charlemagne.
No, but I mean the media moguls. I mean, obviously, it's a media battle because.
Well, that is Conrad Black. He's a Conradian, and guess where they operated out of?
Go on.
Jerusalem. Like the Baldwins of Hollywood, Baldwin was the king of Jerusalem. Yeah, and that is the person who's the sports celebrity. I think she's a dyke. She is Claire Baldwin, and her name is Baldwin, and she with Lineker. All of them are fascists. Lineker has had to divorce because he drinks with Prince William and Connor Kay at the fascist clubs in London. I forget the names of them, but when I published all of that, Daniel Lineker divorced Gary, yeah, and all of them make those sacrifices. So Paltrow was married to Chris Martin, and they had to divorce a couple of years ago, and she's part of that story about what is the man is supposed to be touching up all the women in Hollywood, and he's raped some of them.
Weinstein or something.
That's it. So it's just the same evil bloodlines, and Gwyneth is just a bit part in that. And you should see her bloodline. She's totally Jewish.
that seems to be the way for an awful lot within Hollywood and within the media.
Well, you see, the Bible author was Arius Coponius Piso, and he's a Jew. That's the irony of it. And he reduced the numbers through those massive battles in North Africa and on the coast of the Mediterranean. He reduced the numbers of the world's Jews from 8 million to 3 million before he died. And that is, he died playing the role of the first Pope.
And a mass murderer.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's the biggest cause of death in world history. And I knew about the mountain to a molehill story, because that is the Howards of Norfolk, and I've been focused on them all day. And that is, have you seen the movie with about the beheading of Thomas More for his belief in Christianity? It's a man for all seasons.
Yes, I have seen that many years ago.
So the man that is his friend Howard that betrays him, he is a Duke of Norfolk, and that is directly descended from Montanus, that is the Piso family in Rome, but not in Naples, because they're too clever, like the Bushes, to live under a volcano for very long when they realise the power of God. Yeah, and it's just astounding. So when Thomas More is talking to him, you know, they're best mates for a while, and they dine and they spend money together, and then Thomas More becomes the Chancellor after Wolsey.
Yes, Wolsey, Cardinal Wolsey.
Yeah, and all of them have got that Chancellor's chain of office, and it's got the it's got the dollar sign on the chain already.
Really?
Yeah, and I've made videos with a man called John Patterson,
I know John, yeah.
I've explained to him how all of the chains of office appear as horseshoes. So when you hang it round your neck, it appears as a horseshoe, and that is again the Paschal candle icon, and that is the Pisa horse that is the marshals all across the world. Yeah, that's the marshals and the sheriffs are part of that mountain from the molehill that is the Pisa Bible, and all of them now are Forbes rich listers, including Jennifer, whose only mission in life is to get her crotch on the camera.
Incredible, yeah. So does that include all the places of office, like mayors, etc., who wear their chains of office?
Yeah, well, that, you see, that's sinister, because that is the Mayor Rothschild label, and that is the metropolitan mayors all over the globe, and they were part of the 9/11. I can't remember the name of the mayor of New York. He's a Forbes rich lister too, and he had to make all the speeches on the mountain of ashes that was left below the building. But the British Royals had an office on the 111th floor, and that is where Fergie was demonised again, because she's the fall girl in the royal family.
Yes.
And so her little red doll from that office was found in the ashes, totally unscathed. And all of that will be that massive Colossus joke again, and I don't quite get why that little structure thing is, in Colossus's hand is the spaceship that brought the gods down to the earth in the Fifth Element movie. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen the Fifth Element, no.
Oh, that's a must.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm writing a list of movies that you've said that I should.
Well, now that you understand that the Pharaoh bloodlines are the Queen's bloodlines, yeah, that's Mark Antony and Cleopatra, yeah, and that is Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is the great grandfather of Aries Calpurnius Piso, and he was married to a Piso woman. That's on the front page of my website, but they keep taking it down because they're allowed to do that because there is no law enforcement.
And are you able to put it back up again?
Yeah, I can do it all the time. Yeah, I keep doing it, and I believe that they're now taking it down less frequently because they are now realising that the gods are on my side, and all the pathologies that happen. So that woman that plays Jessius, Floris Jessius, yeah, and gets her kit off all the time, gets shagged in the garden shed and stuff, all of it is just the smutty movies. But she and Stephen Fry, and have you heard of the Wittgensteins?
I haven't.
So they are the Bloomsbury set that launched drug addiction.
Okay.
Eventually Richard Branson becomes the global drug czar in the mafia syndicate, and he lives in the Havens with Sean Connery and all the folk that are the greatest heroes, the family that comes from Dundee, that is Ian Fleming's. They are massive mobsters, double agents in all the wars, and totally treasonous. Yeah, and I've got all the videos that Greg Hallett made on the bringing out of the people from the Hitler's bunker through the River Spree tunnels, and that is the yellow submarine joke for the Beatles, and the Beatles have now become an Islamic terror threat, and all of that is just a reaction to my storytelling and my website and my capacity. Because I'm surveilled in every home that I've had, I just make my movies on those topics and replay the movies and the videos that I've made over the last 7 or 8 years, and then it appears on the news that night. And the bridges that I'm talking about in Dundee, when McGonagall writes the poems about the ludicrous attempts, about the tragedy that is that disaster, that is the bridge that was blown up. And all of it is the same joke as the sinking of the Titan. That was a book written about the sinking of the Titanic 10 years before it happened, and that is the Mulligan Tyre song by McCartney of Liverpool, there is Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali in India and North Africa were the friends of the Macartneys, Lord Macartney of Liverpool, and he was their funders, and all of that becomes Muhammad Ali and in the Star Wars joke. But if you want to understand that, you've got to watch the Grimm Brothers movie, because that is what the world has become, is that they are entertainers and troubleshooters, all for profit, and they're descended from the ancient people that live and sleep in the tower, and it's just massive, and the gods in that come out of the well, and they are just the... I mean, you remember Mr Blobby?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Yeah, so that is another Digimon. Yeah, it's all the same story, and that evil little woman that was the 10,000 metres runner for Britain, is it Madeline Ennis or something? She's Ennis. Yeah. And that is, Ennis is Guinness, and I've explained to you that is the Insus, Ineos joke, and Ineos is the name of BP now, and none of the people that work there have had a pay rise from Sir John Wood, and Sir John Wood is on the interlocking directorates with Anne Gloag, Sir Ewan Brown, and all the folk like Ortez that crashed the banks in 2008. Yeah, and that was not an accident, and all of it is published on my website. Nobody gets prosecuted except me.
And can you tell us all before we go what your website is again?
Prof George Lee's Revelation. Prof George Lee's lowercase, all one word without a gap. Yeah, and then /Revelations if that doesn't get you on my website. And my YouTube channel is just George Gap Lees, Lees, YouTube channel, and you'll see a picture of me in my professorial cloak and gown and my ordinary Scottish bonnet, and that was taken in the bridges in Edinburgh, right in front of the Scotsman office. And today I've been reinvestigating the activities of Max Hastings, and he with the Earls of Norfolk that are Howard in that movie. Yeah, they have massive cathedrals in Arundel, and this afternoon I've been profiling how they make huge amounts of billionaire money out of selling shares in the cathedral.
Right, wow. Uncovering more corruption.
Totally evil,
yes.
And God bless the people in Ireland for taking notice of what is happening and trying. If you can explain to me how they read the future, it will change the world.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, the book coming out 10 years before the Titanic actually happened, you know.
That's how the New World Order, just to let them know it's us, and that is the stammering king's speech. Yet you still stammered on the W, and every one of my videos that have been censored by the Warner Brothers, who are the propagandists for America. They used to live in Kaiserville's hunting lodge in Krasnoselk in Poland. Yeah, they were sent from there in World War I to become the propagandists in World War II, and all of them, their names are not Warner, but that is the rabbit joke, that they are the Allied forces, and they are the ruthless families that are descended from Lagos the Rabbit in Macedonia, when the next member of the bloodline is Alexander the Great. And I think that's around 250 BC, and that is the Winston Churchill V sign right through the war. It's Operation Winnie the Pooh, and all the rabbits are Hitler's friends, Ian Fleming, and all of the folk that are the heroic Bond authors, the Bonds and the folk that are on those bloodlines. Ian Fleming is on the directorates for the Duke of Norfolk, and it's fucking massive. Yeah, and and that is the family tree for the Duke of Norfolk is Longshanks's family tree too. There are Herreses on it, and that is the Herries that were negotiating with Rothschild and all the Talleyrand families for the contract for Napoleon to brutalise Europe, or for the royals to prevent him doing that. The Rothschilds funded both sides. 600,000 people died in that pan-European conflict.
They really don't care, do they? They are just evil.
Yeah, just the elite families that have been in charge forever without a challenge, and I think that will be one of the biggest challenges that they've ever had, because now we're allowed to read and write and publish things and use the scientific method, and the pictures drive them crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to scan through my website, just look at the pictures, look at the names underneath, and you'll see why the Star Wars team is in panic.
Okay. Well, listen, George Lees, thank you so much. It's been more than a pleasure talking to you, and well, actually sitting here listening to you. And thank you so much.
If you could tell Mick as well,
yes,
that I'm keen to get back in action again.
So you want to do an interview with Mick?
Yeah, if he's up for it.
Yeah, okay, I'll have a word with Mick, and he's a great lad.
You mentioned the fact that the Irish people that were in the audience the last time wanted me to focus more on Ireland, and you know, it's quite difficult to.
Yes.
But you know, all the Croke Park stuff, all of that has been rewritten since I published the story about Croke Park, and the need for the Irish people to be coerced like that into entering into, I can't remember whether it was World War I or World War II, but they've changed the date of the event now since I published that story.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, we've just celebrated St. Patrick's Day, when in fact, you know, that's celebrating someone who came over here and killed all the pagans. So that was quite weird. At the same time, it's also the 17th of March is the date when the Irish Republican Brotherhood was formed, so we could celebrate that. But I just want to say, George, it's been an absolute honour and a privilege.
Can I just, for my own safety, have you heard of a serial killer called Peter Manuel in Glasgow was a serial killer in 1957, the year I was born.
Okay.
He was executed at the electric chair, and he is the cover for the British Royals and the news that Marcos Manuel was murdered by Edward VII, the orca-fat man that is actually the brother of Edward VII, because both of Marcos Manuel, because both of them are Queen Victoria's babies, and that is why the Rothschilds and the Windsors are totally illegitimate for 160 years, and all of them are Rothschild babies, and it is terrible. But that is the launch of the serial killer, and in the Basil Fawlty movie, that is Manuel the Waiter. Yeah, and all of it is just cover for the only legitimate son that Queen Victoria had. In those 11 babies, 9 were Rothschild bastards, and 1 was the bastard of John Brown, the man that used to take the risk, like Prince Harry, of taking her on the back of the donkey around Scotland. And I don't know whether or not she ever got bitten by it, Harry. Cheers, is that enough?
It's more than enough, George. George Lees, Professor George Lees, thank you so much for coming on Out of the Bag, my friend.
Okay, cheers, Sean.
And welcome back to Out of the Bag. This is Sean McGuire live on Healing Oracle Radio and People's Internet Radio. And that was my amazing, I'd say incredible, crazy stuff, my interview with Professor George Lees. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Absolutely incredible. He's got more information coming as we speak, and he would like to talk to me again in the next couple of weeks, so maybe he'll be back on the show in another month's time. So really hope that you enjoyed that interview with George Lees. So that's Professor George Lees. I'm going to move on to the next part of the show, and usually I do the Rebellion Festival from Blackpool and all the bands that are booked there, but Rebellion Festivals are having another festival, if you like, and that's in Amsterdam, and it's on the Saturday the 2nd and Sunday the 3rd of June in the Melkweg in Amsterdam. And Tickets can be found on www.rebellionfestivals.com/shop, and I'm going to play some music from the bands right now, and I'm going to start.
So, let's just take you back to those images and show you the Warner Brothers. There is everything. There's a new Marcos Manuel cover. He's now Sanchez Torres. Do you understand the Barcelona terror now? Yeah, that is Shimon Peres, is one of the massive warmongers. He was partitioned Palestine at the end of the war. The father of Lionel Messi of Barcelona, he's named Lionel to cover Lionel Rothschild, who was the bastard parent of Queen Elizabeth's babies. Okay, I can show you all of those stories on my website, which is why they keep taking the pictures down. Yeah, there's the Chinook crash that was occurred. Yeah, and Michael Ancram was the Secretary of State for Ireland when it did occur, and his wife is one of the Howards of Arundel that run the cathedral shareholdings. And there's the Queen committing herself to the Nazi salute news for Rupert Murdoch, and all of them are the ancient concubines and shag bags for Charles I, Charles II and William of Orange, and on it goes. And there's the Duke of Buccleuch. They are the Montanus families that are on the Piso bloodline, and that is those images there. Yeah, in the last couple of videos I've made before this one, the story that is being told is that the Montagues of, there he is, the Duke of Buccleuch is a Montague, the Duke of Buccleuch is a Douglas, that's the black Douglases, the red Douglases, and there is the legless person that is the Duke of Buccleuch's dad. He lost his legs when he was profiteering in World War II. He was a Colditz inmate. All of them are on the take, and there are the Austrian master race emperor bloodlines down below David Cameron. Yeah, they're royal bastards. Yeah, and they are the families that are related to the German Protestants that swept all over Ireland and fought the Battle of the Boyne, and then became George I, George II, George III. Let me now find you the Rothschilds page, and it's the British monarchy, and we'll look up the cards. That's Queen Victoria had 11 children. 9 of them were Rothschild's bastard, and 2 of them, the first was Marcos Manuel, born on the Isle of Wight, born in Carlisle Castle, raised in the Isle of Wight, and that is the Being There movie that was made by Peter Sellers. Yeah. And there is the story that was told by the murdered Greg Hallett. All of it openly published, all of it open to debate all over the world, and some of that was debated with my best friends in the social media that include James Henry Fetzer. There is the books by Greg Hallett that proclaim that Hitler was a double agent. All of the facts that he has published make all of it unquestionably true, and the murders of Marcos Manuel were in the last of those episodes, and there are the drug runners for Prince Philip and the Queen. Prince Philip's marriage with the Princess Elizabeth was generally considered to be over after 2 years. Okay, we're still recording. Let's get some pictures of Queen Vic. Queen Victoria. Persecuted royal love story, and all of these pictures were first Greg Hallett's, then they became mine. Okay, there is the father of Marcos Manuel. That was the only legitimate lover, George V, King of Hanover. he married Queen Victoria as a bigamous marriage, because she never divorced. Sorry, he was the first wife. The bigamous marriage was to Prince Albert, who the Rothschild family and the Windsors had murdered. Okay. And let's just get some pictures and some of the IDs of the rapists. Oh, sorry, we're not going to get it on that. Let's quickly go back. A constitutional global nightmare. Hush hush. The 3 Hanoverian princes of Cumbria and Teviotdale. Princess Di battered by the goldsmiths. Persecution in the royal bedchamber. How the Rothschilds have taken over the world. There she is when she was young and tiny, yeah, like Camilla, who had a baby with Prince Charles when they were 18 and 17 respectively. There were 2 bastards by that affair. One of them is a maid that looks after the horses in Balmoral, and she's unidentified, but Simon Day is a telephone engineer in Australia, and that will be linked to the Telesporus story for the linkages to Arius Calpurnius Piso, because the Queen is on Piso, the Bible author's bloodline. Okay? And there may be pictures. So there's Prince Albert's chain through his penis. Yeah, all of this is on my website if you get there quickly enough before they take it down again. Prince Consort Albert was homosexual and illegitimate. Queen Victoria and John Brown, after Prince Albert died of pneumonia, he was murdered with the windows open. Queen Victoria had a daughter called Louise Brown with her stable boy John Brown. The 9 children from the bigamous marriage of Prince Consort Albert and Queen Victoria, but an illegitimate family tree all across Europe. Okay, and there are the people that were Prince Eddie, the Jack the Ripper murderer, who spent the rest of his life in Glamis Castle. Yeah, and there are all the Shakespearean stories, and the output of the global Freemasons run largely from Germany since their creation. Yeah, and that is this monarchy that has been almost entirely from Germany since their creation. There is Winston Churchill, who is the biological father of the Queen and Princess Margaret, who loved to have 2 men at the same time in the same bed. Or on the beach in Necker, where Richard Branson still resides as a tax exile and the winner of all of Britain's contracts. There is Winston Churchill, was the illegitimate son of Jenny Jerome and King Edward VII, who murdered Marcos Manuel's dad, yeah, in Sintra Abbey, at Sintra Castle in Portugal. Yeah, and all of that has been published, and all of it is undeniably true, and that is the biggest joke of the lot, because that is Kensington Palace, and that is Calpurnius Piso, the Queen's ancestors' initials. It's KP Nuts, it's Katy Perry, it's everything that you've heard about already, and those families rule the world from the backroom and by murdering their rivals ever since Arius Calpurnius Piso was born as a bastard to Emperor Caligula. And there is, yeah, the scams go on, and all the great wars are to bankrupt the nations, and there's not a picture of the Rothschilds' involvement in that just yet. Yeah, the naming of Lionel Messi is the cover-up of who actually is the families that raped Queen Victoria and created 9 of those 11 bastards. Yeah, and there's the story. Yeah, Winston Churchill had an affair with Pamela Digby Churchill. They had a son called Bill Clinton. There is Max Aitken, who's now on the bloodlines for either the Wikipedia authors or the YouTube leaders. Yeah, and those are the Aitkins that were married into Guyanus Kerr, and there is the murderer of Marcos Manuel, Edward VII. Yeah, the peacemaker, and all of it was explained by Greg Hallett before that family murdered him. King Edward VII, Bertie, was a son of Lionel Nathan Rothschild. All official 9 children from Queen Victoria were illegitimate. So do you see the naming of Lionel Perez, who is Lionel Messi of Barcelona, and all of the bullshit that comes out, that is the descendants of Shimon Peres that died just a couple of years ago, the longest lived president of Israel. And there are King George V, who married Mary of Teck. Their children were to become King Edward VIII and King George VI, the stammerer. So we've got illegitimate monarchs, and we've got fraudulent monarchs, and we've got them accepting that they are a fraud at running with it under the thrall of the money lenders that are still the advisors to the Queen, that are Evelyn de Rothschild, mentioned in the video with Sean a fortnight ago, and they've let me live right through that fortnight. And the camera's still recording, isn't it fabulous? And there is the orange box under affiliation since Charles II took over from Charles I, the Catholic who had his head lopped off for his religious beliefs, and religion is the biggest cause of death, and that's why she is in the Piso family bloodline, because every monarchy is descended from Piso's descendant, who was Charlemagne. That's all of the surviving ones. All of the others are extinct for reasons that Princess Diana understands in the heavens. But this is not going to show us Lionel Nathan Rothschild. It's going to show you their capacity to murder anybody that tries to take over their empire, and that's how they cover it. Right into the killings on 7/7, an inside job, yeah. And in the Twin Towers, it was their opportunity to storm into the place that is Iraq and Afghanistan and all the Holy Lands that were still unconquered. And there's the university leader that is Manningham Buller. There is the man that did not want to let them do that. He was dead on arrival at the hospital when he had an accident in the Cairngorms. That is Cook, that was the MP for Kirknewton, where I lived for a while. Yeah, and there's the murders of the people that were the funders, and every one of the bastards is a leader of the militias that still own the biggest empire that the world has ever known. Okay, and there is Mrs Thatcher, the Royal Navy and the Falklands War, and Rupert Murdoch's input already. He's the man that insisted to go into all of the wars so that he can dismember any honest author in the residual newspaper writers, and that is the role that Rebecca Brooks has played for him. And there's the Onassis that becomes the Miller sisters and the Queens in Greece, where the Pisos fled to after they found out that it was really dangerous to fake up a god from the Villa Papyri that was right underneath Vesuvius. Yeah, and there is not one picture even there of Marcos Manuel, the man that they murdered last before they murdered Greg Hallett. And there are the Rothschilds' worth. How much are they worth? Yeah, and there are the only residual monarchies, and Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, God bless him, only became a Nazi, a Nazi's only sin. At least he did not kill his own brother to become the king. Yeah, like so many of them. And there are the leaders of NATO, all of which are on the Rothschild payroll. Yeah, and there are the others that are, yeah, the Dunblane issues, and the Dunblane is a school only for military orphans. And there's Jimmy Savile that appears as the obfuscation tool, like Priam Heath, and everything is a pistic, and the gods can defeat them every time. That's the great North Floods, when they were running the cocaine in Phillips light tubes into Australia so that they could fund the IRA and pretend that there was religious stuff going on that was for religious beliefs. All of it is for the dismemberment of their opposition, which is every ordinary worshipper, and that is the launch of the divide and conquer religions. Yeah, sorry, this is not the Queen Victoria stuff that I was looking for, that there are all the bastard children. So there's Simon Day, the son of Prince Charles and Camilla. He had to have his eye colour changed, he had his ears clipped to the side of his head, and there are his Aboriginal children. And that could be the kids that visited Dundee from India this week. Yeah, it's amazing. And there is the Prince Charles had a child with Camilla Parker Bowles, yeah, and she is the stable girl, and that is the stable girl in Balmoral, and that is Simon Day, who had all those children. And when Princess Diana went to visit the Cook Straits, she said, there are too many people in this marriage. Yeah, and that is all published. Let's see if we can get the pictures before it stops of the 3 Hanoverian princes. So there's Queen Victoria, a persecuted love story. I think we've seen this already. Oh, there it is. How the Rothschilds have taken. Let's have a quick scan just in case. Yeah. But I still don't think that it's not one of those. There's Albertine Erskine, George Louis Wish. So let's look up the word Lionel. The German Batard monarchy problems. Yeah, now have a look at that. No pictures. There's Kaiser Bill. There are the 2 Rothschilds that sired those babies. That's Nathan Mayer Rothschild and Lionel Nathan Rothschild. You see why out of the families that are interlocked to Bush in America and to Perez in Israel, all of them are the same bloodlines, and that is Percy of Alnwick Castle. But we've still not got the one that is the telling one about persecuted royal love story. No. Oh, so that's got at least got a picture of him. Yeah, that's the only legitimate husband that she ever had, and he was still married to her when she married Albert in a virginal white dress. Yeah, and he's King George of Hanover, but he's also King George of Cumberland and Teviotdale, where I live in the Teviot River Valley. And all of the fishery there has been stolen by Guy Innes-Kerr, but that is not my mission in life, to release trivia like that. Yeah. The hidden King of England. This should show you why Marcos Manuel was murdered. Oh no, it's the new Greg Hallett that has replaced the dead one. And you can see it's really dangerous to order those books, because it confirms that you're interested in the real history of Britain. And there's not one picture of Marcos Manuel in there, so the whole of that story has been dropped by the bastards that killed Greg Hallett. The hidden King of England, and it's now something to do with the rose and Christ. So please go to my website and have a look at it. I did not know that we would have as much time as this. Lionel. constitutional global nightmare. Yeah, all those bastards right into the Russian regimes. No, I cannot see. Oh, there we. At least we've got an image there of the hidden King of England. There is him, Marcos Manuel, before Greg Hallett was murdered and all of this became an official secret. There is Peter Sellers playing the role of Marcos Manuel in being there on the Isle of Wight as the gardener, and there is Peter Sellers, who's the son of Lord Louis Mountbatten, playing that role, and it's all for a cover that he is the father of that man who is Marcos Manuel that was murdered by Edward VII. Let's get a picture of him before we go. Orca fat, fatter than he was tall. He's the one that has got the orb and the globalist icons in Are you getting the message? Yeah, and that's why she released all that stuff, and that is the weekend that they began the sectioning threat. Can you see how it works? And that is the launch of World War II with the stammering king who was the chief master mason. But this is still not the stuff that I want. With the pictures of the Magi. Let's look up Magistrorum. Yeah, everything is Freemasonic, and all the royals abuse the whole of their countries. So down here, there is a picture of Jack the Ripper, and there are other pictures of them marching through the city of London. There's the maid, that's the Queen Mother, was actually the mother of Queen Elizabeth II, but she's not the real Bose Lion. She fled to Denmark, and my camera is still going. She had, and there's Mrs Simpson, so we've been on this one before, and there is all the declarations that Bill Clinton is the son and that Winston Churchill is the father, not Edward VI. Mary of Teck, and there are King Edward VII, there's the maid, daughter of the maid and Winston Churchill, almost no royal blood at all, Queenie. Yeah, there's the narcotics laundering. All the big wigs in world history do that to dismember their citizens, and there is the one that is married to Sophie of Wessex, and she's directly descended from Arius Calpurnius Piso, like Andrew Rice's fishing gilly, and all of them get cancers, and goodness knows what's happened to Prince Harry since he was bitten by the donkey. Okay, yeah, we've been on that page too. It's not the one with the Chief Master Mason and the Kensington Palace, but there's Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister, and Aristotle Onassis, a heroin trafficker, parent of the Miller sisters in Greece. Yeah, and there's all the modern day scams and all the rainforests that are being chopped down, even by their funders. No, we've been down that page all the way through it. Oh, there's the Dunblane murders. Royals panic under the limelight of disclosure, and the camera's still ticking away. Merry Christian Wives of Windsor, World War I, World War II. Princess Anne prefers gas. Royals panic under the limelight of disclosure. I think we've seen that one too, but let's have a look. And there's the war crimes news. Oh no, that's just local villains. Yeah, and the people that have issued me lifelong gagging orders, like that sad little bastard there that is carrying the arrow that proclaims he would die for the Rothschilds. Yet that's the 5